Grace and peace to you from Jesus Christ. Because he lives, we live. Amen. Has someone ever made you a piece of clothing? I think of many countless, there they are, Halloween costumes that my mother made for me as a child, or the special school event outfits that she sewed together with love. I also think of a beloved member of this congregation who has knit hats, a sweater, and a pair of socks for me and Elijah. There's something incredibly special, intimate even, about making a piece of clothing for someone else. To sew or knit or create a piece of clothing for someone, you really need to know them. And in wearing that clothing, I have felt known, I have felt loved, I have felt held by the people who have made those pieces of clothing for me with love. And in our story for today that we just heard from Acts, Tabitha is known for making clothes for others. It's a gift that she uses to care for other people. As we heard, she made countless tunics and other pieces of clothing for the widows of her community. Now, friends, widows were some of the most vulnerable people in Tabitha's society, and in providing this basic necessity of clothing, Tabitha was dramatically improving the lives of so many women around her. Now, what I love most about this story is all of the details that we have about Tabitha and her life in Joppa. There must be something special about Tabitha and her story if we know so much about her. The author of Acts tells us that she was a disciple. Now, friends, there's something special that we can't see in our English translations in this story. You see, the Greek word used here is actually better translated as a woman disciple. Do you see why I love that? Yeah. And friends, this is the only place in the New Testament where that word appears. She was a woman disciple. I love that. So naturally, I began thinking about all of the women disciples in my life as I reflected on this story, especially as we remember mothers, but also some of the most important women in our lives. Now, I know that today can be tender for a lot of people, maybe heartbreaking or difficult for so many reasons. And I don't want to assume that today is an easy day for you. So if today is tender for you, I want you to know how closely I hold you in my heart and how closely God is with you today. This week, I saw an Instagram post on, quote, how to navigate Mother's Day when it feels heavy, light, or something in between. And there's that post. And it's from one of my favorite people on this planet, author and historian Kate Bowler. Now, as a quick aside, if you don't follow Kate on social media, or if you have never read any of her amazing devotional books, you must, because she is a true gem, people. She is amazing. Jane is shaking her head because she agrees, because she is fabulous. Now, in that post, one of the things that Kate suggested was for you to say their name. Now, many of you know that I love how Jesus says people's names in the Gospels, especially in John's Gospel. Because remembering special people by name is important and really powerful. So I'm wondering if you will do something with me, friends, either in the silence of your hearts or maybe even out loud. We could say some names of some beloved women disciples. Earlier this year, on International Women's Day, I sat down with my devotional, as I do every day, and it gave me this prompt to write down the names of women who have proclaimed the gospel to me. And in fact, there are women in this room who were on that list. You are the women disciples who have shared with me the good news in both your words and your deeds. So thank you. Whew, here comes the hard part of the sermon, friends. So as we heard in the announcements, I lost a beloved woman disciple in my life this week, my grandmother, Barbara. And something so special about her, I called her Mom, was how faithful she was in prayer. Now, I don't think I will ever meet another person who believes so deeply in the power of prayer. Because a really special thing about her is she carried a notebook with her in her pocketbook everywhere she went. And when she heard about a person or a concern that she thought needed prayer, she'd write it down in her notebook. And then every day, in the morning before she got out of bed, and every night before she went to sleep, she would pray through that whole list. Like Tabitha, who wove a community together by making clothes, my mom, she stitched together a community with prayer. Prayer is healing, right, friends? Because it connects us to God, but most importantly, it connects us to each other. There is something so powerful and healing in hearing the words, "Let me pray for you," right? The late Pope Francis wrote in 2019, "Women make the world beautiful. They protect it and keep it alive. They bring the grace of renewal, the embrace of inclusion, and the courage to give of oneself." In my mind, friends, that was who Tabitha was to her world. She renewed the lives of so many people through her good works and her acts of charity. She included the people the rest of her society forgot. And friends, she had the courage to give of herself, to use a gift that God had given her to serve others. Friends, Tabitha's story teaches us that no good work or act of charity is too small. Even the smallest things have ripple effects that transform lives and change our world. Since last spring, our English language learners program has transformed the lives of 350 students, 120 children, and 150 volunteers. Ultimately, friends, this is a story about the power of resurrection, a power that went beyond the empty tomb. It was and it is a power that permeates our everyday lives and communities all over our world. Yes, in our story for today, Peter prays and Tabitha is resurrected. But what's most profound to me is the power of resurrection that Tabitha brought to others when she gave of herself, when she made clothes for someone, or when she gave generously. And friends, that power still exists today. So where do you see the power of resurrection in your life? Or where do you see the power of resurrection in our world? Friends, that power continues in us and through us today, in you and through you today. As followers of Jesus, as beloved disciples, we live because Jesus lives. And in the light of the resurrection, because of Jesus' resurrection, we are empowered to bring about what I'm going to call little resurrections of love and justice and compassion here and now, just as Tabitha did. As resurrection people, we are called to give life and bring light into our world. So, what little resurrections might be God calling you to? Because in our world that just feels like it's so full of death right now, God needs us as partners in the work of resurrection. In our world of death, our neighbors need us as resurrection workers. Friends, like Tabitha, our gifts might have resurrection power. So may we shine Jesus' light and give life into our world. Friends, our world needs it. Amen.